What is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back here with some more Resident Evil gameplay for you. And today I'm going to be talking about an interview that dropped yesterday from the director Nakanishi talking about Resident Evil Requiem, where he was interviewed by Deadline. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to read that entirety of the interview itself. Because I'm only going to focus on one big major thing that kind of happened at the end of the interview. But before I get to the end of that, I do want to make one point of one question that was asked, because this was a little bit interesting too. So let's get with the subtopic first. But basically one of the questions that Deadline asked was that Leon has something called the Umbrella Curse, and what more can you say about that? And Nakanishi responds, this game setting takes place 30 years after Raccoon City incident, which was connected to Umbrella. So this phrase about the Umbrella Curse refers to something that has affected people who are either enveloped by the incident or present when the situation happened. But that's about all I can say for now. Laughs. Now, one thing about Nakanishi, I've always said this about him, he kind of gives me a little bit of that trollish appearance sometimes, where sometimes I feel like he could be trolling people. Sometimes I could feel like he'd be misdirecting people and pulling the rug under people, or maybe he's just generally trying to make it more dramatic than it has to be. But nonetheless, what does this ultimately mean? Could it be something just literally like, hey, because they were involved or in the city or whatnot, it's just a little name for everyone? Or could it be something that some people speculate could have contracted something because they were in the incident or surrounding the incident? Who knows? I like to think it's probably something more literal, but who knows? You know, they could be hiding a lot more things. I know some people says maybe it's something deeper, something that specifically only affects people that were in the Raccoon City incident. Who knows? But altogether, I think it's something that we'll have to wait to answer. But it is interesting that they do put that in there, and of course, he's always laughing about it. But the big bombshell, the last question that was asked for this interview was, I must ask, in the preview, Leon is talking to someone on a headset, and I need to know, is it Claire or Ada? Where are they? Now, before I get to how Nakanishi responded, just for a little credence here, they're referring to this short segment in one of the previews where Leon is basically talking, and you show a glimpse of a woman on a headset, and she kind of has a little bit of blonde hair, and she's looking at a screen. They're talking about that person. Now, I remember when I first saw that, I didn't really notice the blonde hair. It was only when someone paused the screen, you could see it, but I just assumed that was Hunnigan, but people corrected me saying that sounds more like a Sherry Birkin. Sherry Birkin's being the biggest one. A few people are saying it could possibly be Ashley, but Sherry's the big one. A lot of people are saying it would make sense with, you know, having another person that survived the Raccoon City incident be involved in that, vice versa. So obviously it couldn't be Ada or Claire. But you know how I did a video a couple days ago, maybe last week sometime, where I was talking about how it's like they ask him a question and he answers and jumps into a whole new landmine of information. Well, that's kind of what we get here. So here's what Nakanishi said. He laughs. So I know a lot of fans are interested in similar things. We all want to know. I am very interested in a private relationship between Leon and Ada. However, I can't comment on either one of these things. But I will say that we have put a lot of work into Requiem, implementing stories and things that fans will love and enjoy. So I hope the fans are looking forward to the game. End of quote. Now, that is a lot to unpackage here, because once again, if you go by the video I made over a week ago, it's kind of the same situation where someone asks him a question. In this case, you don't know what I'm talking about, where they ask the question, why did you choose Leon, not Chris? And while he does, I guess, answer it, he goes off and lands on a completely another landmine of things that makes you go, huh, what? And it's like, in a way, I don't know if he's doing it on purpose. Maybe he's just trolling the fans. Because, as I said, Nakanishi kind of gives me that vibe that he likes to troll the fans and have, I guess, a little bit of fun with them and stuff. And obviously, he must be aware that a lot of people have been asking, is this person in the game? Is that person in the game? And instead of just openly denying it, no, like he did with Chris, here he kind of gives a credence to like, yeah, we're fans of you guys too. We also want to know and stuff. And is he letting on more than he wants them to know, but kind of leaves the door a little bit wide open and stuff. But I want to play both sides here, because I've seen a lot of people say, oh, this confirms that Ada has to be in the game now. Like, why would he even say that? And the fact that he specifies that he's interested in Leon and Ada's private relationship. Because once again, they just said are they in the game? Are the person talking? He could have said no, they're not the person talking, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're not in the game. The fact that he even says that just leads you to wonder, like, why would it, like, if they weren't in it, right, or Ada wasn't in it, why even say that? What would be the point of saying that? Not unless you want to say, oh, they're just mentioning it and it's just going to be referenced, that's it. And also, just so we're clear, he didn't deny, even though he didn't mention or talk about Claire, even though the question asked if it was Claire as well, he didn't deny and said they weren't in it either. So at least they got that going for them instead of Chris. They just said, nope, he's not in it. So Chris is elsewhere somewhere doing his own thing. But yeah, as I said before, I don't know how to take on this. It's just kind of weird to say that at this point in the game, because there's a outside of people just saying, for Ada's case, that she's been in every single Leon game, mainline game we've ever had personally. But outside of that, and I guess also the fact that Ada was a part of the Raccoon City incident, there really wasn't any really evidence that she'd be in this game. Now, maybe it's just Capcom has hit it so well, and let's just be honest, when it comes to Ada, I think they take the whole secrecy way too serious. Like, yeah, we get it. It's their MO, but, like, relax. And I understand they want people to be surprised, and maybe they've done a good job of covering up. It's also important to know that the director also specified that this is a Leon they want to tackle that's post-Resident Evil 6, because, as I said before, there was this weird, like, I guess, vibe going on where when he confirmed that he wants to take on a Leon post-Resident Evil 6 for this game, a lot of people were mad because they don't see Resident Evil 6 as canon. I don't know why. Maybe it's because they hate RE6 that much, but nonetheless, RE6 ended on a note that talked about, basically a whole Leon Ada moment where, once again, they went their separate ways, and while Leon was hesitant to see Ada go, he ultimately had to go back to his mission, but Ada ultimately did help him clear his and Helena's innocence in the whole case, but ultimately it left a lot to be desired, and a lot of people, I guess, have always been wondering what happened to them separately, as well as maybe, did they resolve their issues? Have they not seen each other since then? We don't know. We can only speculate. But the fact that he specifies their private relationship, and, is this a thing that they do privately that not even, like, anyone else is aware of? Like, we have no idea. But nonetheless, people are definitely interested and have always wanted a, answer and maybe a conclusion to this. Where they go? I've always heard people speculate, did Leon ever give, I guess, Ada's makeup case back or whatever? Who did Ada get the phone call at the end of RE6 from? Like, what have they been up to? We've at least seen Leon post adventures in Resident Evil 6 in terms of the CGI movies, but we haven't seen Ada since Resident Evil 6, so who knows what she's up to, let alone what she looks like at this point in time, and what she's been doing. Is she still doing the same thing? Have Leon and Ada been keeping cahoots with each other, check up on each other? Who knows? But yeah, it's kind of weird to say that and not have anything to show for it. Like, let's just say they released Requiem and none of that is even addressed or talked about at the very least, let alone they actually are in the title. So it's just kind of weird, but they say they're cooking up something. I guess we'll have, as I said, only a month left to wait to see what is they're cooking. Are they cooking a masterpiece, or are they cooking the whole kitchen's on fire? So only time will tell. But yep, I'm very interested in see what direction they're going to go with this. But that is my opinion. I want to hear your guys' opinion based on this whole quote. Do you think this confirms Ada is in the game? The fact that the director literally specified he's interested and invested in Leon and Ada's private relationship. Do you think there's a possibility that even Claire might be in the game since he didn't outright deny her involvement too? Or do you think this is just the director's means of just trying to play all sides, but in the end, it was just a pipe dream that went up in smoke? But that is going to be it. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully I can see you guys back on the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you all later. Peace.